It always seems so easy to save the planet. Just use the 3 R's. Reduce your waste, reduce products where you can, and, of course, recycle. We all learned this in elementary school along with our multiplication tables. And for years, many of us have dutifully organized and cleaned our glass, plastic, and paper so it could be magically transformed into something else. Yet for almost as long as we've been dropping our Starbucks cups into the appropriate coffee shop receptacles, there's been a skeptic behind us in line to declare, it all ends up in the landfill anyway. Does it? Thanks for stopping by NPC Overrider, where we challenge mainstream source code to develop independent thought, one user story at a time. We've all been programmed to believe that by recycling everyday items like these, we can effectively reduce the amount of crap we put into the landfill. And the industry continues to evolve. Elon Musk innovated a 100% recycling rate for his Tesla batteries, according to Tesla.com. Sri Ranga Polyester in India found a way to use empty plastic bottles to make clothes and shoes. Circular 11 in England figured out how to turn discarded plastic into bricks, which they say are stronger than regular bricks. Ever wonder what happens to your partially used hotel soap bars? Well, companies like Clean the World collect them, sanitize them, and create new soaps. Pretty cool. Gross, but pretty cool. They also say recycling is good for the economy. According to the EPA, recycling just 10 plastic bottles saves enough energy to power a laptop for more than 25 hours. According to a 2020 study, they found recycling contributed to 681,000 jobs, $37.8 billion in wages, and $5.5 billion in tax revenues. Sounds pretty sweet. What's the problem? While it's fun to think our empty plastic containers may serve us as a toothbrush down the line, it's much more likely to end up in a landfill, or worse, the ocean. Why? Because the amount of energy that goes into even attempting to recycle something often costs more than it saves. First, large diesel trucks have to come collect the recycling bins, and processing machines must use energy to sort through the items before recycling, not to mention the amount of plastic used to create the bins themselves. Even then, due to contamination, only 5% of collected items can be recycled. Even Greenpeace admits this. The rest will join your 6-year-old socks and kids' dirty diapers in the dump. For what little can be recycled, materials like plastic not only degrade after each cycle, but become more toxic, unlike glass, which can be recycled indefinitely without consequence. Is it worth the energy? Well, for a while it was, until China ruined everything. Before 2018, the US shipped recyclables to China because they had fewer regulations, and that way we could get rid of our crap at a cheaper rate and China could make a few bucks, especially given that their cargo ships would often leave American ports empty anyway. However, China's National Sword Act of 2018 prohibited many recyclables that the US sent to the communist state, causing trash surplus concerns in many parts of the world. That's because most of the garbage that used to go to China was now diverted to places like Vietnam and Malaysia, where it's often burned, dumped, or left in rivers and oceans. People like to say they don't need to believe in a flying spaghetti monster to get through life, but many have no qualms with worshipping the flying recycling monster. Let me explain. The Society of Plastics Industry, now known as Plastics Industry Association, was established in 1937 to represent industry professionals such as processors, equipment manufacturers, and brand owners. This was just in time for the manufacturing explosion when we globally produced over 25 million metric tons of plastic between 1950 and 1970 alone. That was about the time the hippie movement rolled onto the scene. In addition to people over 30 and soap, the counterculture had a major problem with plastic. The environmental issue became mainstream with the emergence of activist groups like Greenpeace and the Sierra Club, and public efforts like Earth Day and the Keep America Beautiful ad campaign. By the way, this actor is Italian.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution, people can stop it.
But the industry had a solution: promote recycling despite the insider and outsider skepticism of its effectiveness. Just check out what these two top dogs over at the Society of Plastics Industry had to say.
Tell people you just have to recycle, when they knew there were so many problems and so many hurdles.
Some were very skeptical, but felt they had to do it. I think others were more hopeful. There was never an enthusiastic belief that recycling was ultimately going to work in a significant way.
Getting around it.
Thomas wouldn't sit down for an on-camera interview, but agreed to talk on the phone.
If the public thinks the recycling is working, then they're not going to be as concerned about the environment. I think they knew that the infrastructure wasn't there to really have recycling amount to a whole lot.
Are you kidding me?
To further quell environmental concerns, the plastics industry lobbied to require a resin symbol on all products to denote what the item was made of with a numerical value. The trick: wrap the number in the widely recognized recycling symbol, even if the material itself might not be recyclable. In 1970, Gary Anderson created the recycling symbol we all recognize today, but it was public domain. So the plastics industry used that as part of their resin symbol to mislead people into thinking that their plastics were recyclable. Ethical? No. Legal? Yes. Some laws and regulations designed to save the planet may actually do more harm than good. For example, many states and cities have banned plastic bags, which seems like a good idea after finding 5,000 of them stuck to the Home Depot parking lot fence. However, alternatives such as paper bags, while biodegradable, require more energy and resources to produce and recycle. Similarly, lightweight plastic bag bans have led to stores replacing them with thicker bags, which are still discarded after minimal use. Requirements for using minimal packaging for food products might save plastic, but often comes with the trade-off of the food spoiling quicker, leading to waste in other areas. Green energy efforts such as wind turbines not only kill avian creatures by the thousands, but are also made of hazardous materials and are difficult to dispose of. Solar panels have recyclable components, but are often not recycled due to the cost effectiveness. While many people are critical of recycling and green policies overall, few people want to see our oceans littered with trash. But it's clear that at best, recycling hasn't lived up to its name, and at worst, it's been an outright lie, especially when it comes to plastic. Over the past few years, many of us have been red-pilled into reality. They lied about the masks and the social distancing. Not only did these measures not work, but they added insurmountable amounts of non-recyclable garbage to our landfills. During the lockdowns, we globally created untold amounts of trash between the masks, protective equipment, and restaurant to-go containers. Recycling is possible on a larger scale, but it must be an entrepreneurial effort, as we saw with Tesla, polyester manufacturing, and the repurposing of old soap. In the coming years, we'll hopefully get some transparency with what methods will actually leave a better place for our kids and what untruths we've been told to appease the masses. Well, that's going to do it for this release, folks. Thanks so much for stopping by. I'm your lead engineer, Greg. If you want to help save the NPCs, please set the like button to true and share with a friend who needs their source code challenge. If you have an idea for a future release, please open a ticket in the comments section. We'll get back to you ASAP. Also, please consider subscribing. We'd sure love to have you on our development team. But for now, we're going to shut down the office and grab a beer. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great weekend.